Hello and welcome again. This is Chris Baker, your host of the podcast Tell Me Your Story. And today it's going to be a little different. I don't got nobody on this episode. This episode is dedicated to one of the followers that requested that I kind of answer some questions about myself a little bit. So the audience and you that are listening or watching right now can kind of get more of a feel for the host himself, me. So I'm going to do my best and answer the questions that have been asked. So the very first question is, did life where does life begin with me? Where did it start for me? The question I always ask everybody else. Well, it's pretty easy, pretty simple. Life starts for me in a town that a lot of people would know as Sandusky, Ohio. And a lot of people would know it for, America's roller coaster. America's roller coaster. Cedar Point. And yes, I have been there many, many times. Plenty of times. I rode just about every ride there. And if anybody's wondering and asked that question just now, what is my favorite roller coaster there? I would say it has got to be the Millennium Force. That is my number one roller coaster. I have a top five and all of them that I like. But Millennium Force is definitely the number one. You got the Iron Dragon on there. You got the Raptor. I love that. The Raptor, I would say, is definitely my number two. Then it goes the Magnum. I love that. Then I would probably put the Dragster at number 4, and then probably number 5 I would use. I don't know. It was called the Main Streak. I love that ride. That would probably be my number 5. No, I would say it's kind of a tie between the Main Streak and the Gemini. But anyway, back to the real question here: is where does life begin? Sandusky, Ohio. Born to my parents, and I am the only boy out of 3 sisters, so yeah, you could imagine. I know how to talk to a lady. That's for sure. I know that. But out of was it tough growing up having 3 sisters? Well, yeah, you best believe it. I never wanted to get them, in the middle of their fight. So even though I did try, and a lot of times I ended up having a goose egg on my head because getting involved trying to break up a cat fight. So it didn't go too well. But that life begins in the town of Sandusky, Ohio. Born and raised, been there for about 28 years. Well, I'd say 27 because there was a good part of 1 year where I was traveling a lot. And then I went to college at Toledo. Yeah, so that answers that first question. Okay, now on to the second. How did you come about this podcast? Well, it was pretty easy. I mean, I kind of explained it to, Rick, one of the guys that was on the show before. It all started with pretty much I was coming I'm a DoorDash driver, and I was coming across a lot of people where I was just interacting with them and learning more about them and what they did with their career. And it really got my attention because the 2 people that I asked the question, like, what did you do for a living? And then the first guy had being at Quaker Steak and Lube. He was just a hostess over there. A host, I mean, not a hostess. Sorry. A host. And I just, something just gave me the urge to ask him, what did you do for a living? Because I was thinking, he's an older gentleman. He, surely has he, maybe he has or maybe he hasn't, but, been in the food industry all his career. But I was just curious, something, pulled my attention to it. So I decided to ask him. And, sure enough, when I did, he told me that he was in charge of, banking. He was, in charge of people's money. He was working pretty much, like he said, he's was working for the government, and he was one of the top people. I mean, it just blew my mind. I was like, what? This guy, he could be pulling my leg. But at the same time, it's just like, he, instead of being at home like most people would do, or going to Florida, that seems to be the escape route after you retire. There are, lately a lot of people want to go to Texas. But this guy told me that, he was in charge of, our money. He was in charge of a big bank. He was working for the government, and it was mind blowing. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then there was another time I was getting oil changed at Walmart. And just I started having small talk with a guy that was waiting for his car as well. And I began talking to him. Then the same question came out. I just decided to ask him, what did you do for your, what did you do for your career? And he began to tell me that for, before there was Myers, before there was Kroger, before there was Walmart, or any of these big brands, grocery stores that we know of, he had his own grocery store. He said he ran it for 30 years, and he did pretty well, very well. But once, Myers moved here into town and started, taking over, it put him out of business. And instead of, having a pity party about it, he decided to join the competition. He jumped in and became the general manager and took his experience and ran the show over at Myers and helped it become what it is now. And I found that to be like, wow, that's cool, man. And I was thinking, like, at the time, man, I wish I would have recorded that. I wish I could have had this conversation live. I wish I could have, I wish more people could have heard it, because I believe without a doubt, whoever's, even probably right now, somebody that's listening was probably moved and inspired by that. Like, this dude could have easily had a pity party or, went into a totally different direction, or who knows what. But he decided to jump on, and join Myers and help them become what they are now. And I just found it so cool and so amazing, so touching in a way, and just kind of inspiring. Just like, don't give up, And it was amazing. And then, like, after that, I was just beginning to think, like, there isn't another show. There is, like, nothing out there that really kind of has the interaction with one-on-one with the people in this world. How many people are we walking by, or, that we come across, and they have done incredible things, but haven't had a platform to talk about or tell anything about it. And then it just hit me, I was like, how about I make a podcast where that's what it's about? You tell me your story. You come on, you talk about, what you've done in your life, where it all started, where it all began, where you went to school at, what helped you decide what you wanted to do for your career? Did you did somebody inspire you to do that? Was this what you wanted to do? Had you always, or not even that, even, like, say you went through some hard times, you went through a battle that you didn't think you were going to make it through, but you did. You came out on top. And it's just that alone, that story of yours, that I love to share to the world, to let people that are going through that same struggle, to inspire them, to help them to get to where they need, to give them that motivation to continue, to help them get through, just to get through it all. And then I also love hearing people's testimonies, at the same time. You were going through a struggle, you're just doing a battle, and you found a way through it. God, provided you with the right answers, the right talent, the right gifts to help get where you needed to be, get you out of the position where you didn't think you were gonna, make it, but you did, and you came out on top. I want you to share that story, and to others, because I know there's people out listening that need to hear that, and more than ever right now, with everything that's going on in this world. it's we're kind of getting flooded with bad news lately. Just these past 2 years. I don't even have to mention that word because you already know what I'm talking about. But my goal, really, with this podcast is to inspire people to, help them understand that they're not alone in this world. That there are people like them going through the same battles, or have dealt with the same battles. Are people that that want to come to Christ and need some guidance, need help, But that's your choice. That's your free will. I'm not gonna tell you who to follow. Kind of getting deep over here, huh? But really, yeah, that's the whole meaning of this podcast. It's really just to inspire people, inspire the listeners, the watchers, and just lead them in the right direction. To help them understand that their story is worth more than words. Their life is worth more than words. You have so much potential. And I'm just trying to get you past all the negativity in this world and let you see the positive side of it. To build this up inside you and let you know that you have greatness inside you. So many times we get told that we listen to what the world tells us, and it gives us the wrong hope, it makes us feel wrong about ourselves, and I feel like I'm starting to preach, but really, that's what I'm saying is I want to give you the positive side of the world. I want you to see the good in this world, that there is so much good. It's all around you. Especially, you're probably watching this and you're thinking oh, I got nothing in my life. There's nothing good going on. But that's not true. Don't listen to that voice. So many people ignore mental, illness, the stuff that's going on in their heads. Everybody does it. And I'll admit it, I do it too sometimes, But I want you to understand that you do have greatness inside of you. You have been blessed with talent, and you have a gift that you need to show up to this world. And a lot of people have probably tried to steal that gift from you and tried to tell you don't have any talent or gifts, but that's not true. You do. You just got to seek your inner self and find out what's really going on here. Because you do. We all do. We all have greatness inside of us. We're blessed to do many things that are going to get us to where we need to be in life. And it feels good just talking about it because I'm expressing the truth. That's why I'm getting all happy and laughing over here. But it's true. You do have greatness inside of you, and you're blessed in many ways that you don't see it right now, but you will down the line. There's a battle that you're dealing with right now that you think you're not going to be able to get through it. And this is the voice that's telling you, you are going to get through it. You are going to come out of it. You always have. Just think about, really reflect on the times where you thought you weren't going to get through something, but you did. And you're still here to this day. And I always wake up with the same motivation, the same quote. Today is another day, another blessing. And every time I start get something going, my other thing is, it's only just the beginning. It's only just the beginning. Greatness is coming. So get ready. All right. Next question. How do people get on this podcast, huh? Well, it's pretty simple. Just get a hold of me. I'm not picky. I'm not going to say, oh, not this person. I don't want to hear that story. If you message me and tell me that you want to be on the show, I'll set it up or whenever you're available, whenever I have, a set day for you. And a lot of times I do it at a reasonable time. I usually do it about 5 because, we all got jobs, we all got a life to live. I figure around that time you're able to get some supper, eat something, and then, come on and tell your story, because you do have a story. Everybody has a story. And you're probably thinking too also at the same time, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear my story, and that's not true at all. Don't let that negative side of you put you down. You do have a story, and it's an incredible story. It's a story that will help somebody get through their day. It's a story that will help motivate somebody. and inspire somebody to who knows what. Something that you've gone through in your life. They're probably dealing with the same thing. They're dealing with it, and they really don't know how they're going to get through it. And really, they're going to come on, and your story alone could just touch them and inspire them to get them where they need to be, to help them make the right choices. That's what I think about more than ever, is like, there's so much that we go through. There's so much we go through that we kind of just dismiss. But truthfully, that part of us, that what we went through, that story to tell, is really what someone else needs to hear, so they understand that they can get through it. They're going through the same stuff, same battle, and they're thinking that we once did at that time. They're not going to make it through it, but when they hear your story and just listen truly to what how you got through it, what you did to get through it, that would be enough to just motivate them and inspire them to get them to where they need to be. And I've had people come to me. I haven't put it out here yet, but stuff that I've done, stuff that I've gone through, and I've told people how I handled the situation, and they really look at me like, "Wow, really? That's what you did?" And a lot of people take my advice, and they're like, "That's pretty cool, man. I did what you said. I followed. Pretty much did everything that you did, and here I am now, blessed." But back to the question: how do you get people on the podcast? Just get in contact with me. Just hit this link right here. Email this right here, and I'll contact you. I'm always on my phone. I try not to be, but it's attached to the hip. I get in trouble by my wife sometimes too. But you contact me through that email, I'll get a hold of you right away. That's my promise to you. Next question: how did you become a Christian, and when did you? How did you become a Christian, and when did you become a Christian? Well, that's a pretty good question. My parents, I was never forced to go to church. I'll put that out there right away. That's how it started. Never was forced to go to church like most people do. I never had that, And I'm thankful for it too, because it helped me. I hear too many people say that, it's a lot of reasons why they don't go to church anymore, or why they kind of turn the cheek towards it. But my folks always gave us our free will. They told us that there is a God and there's a devil. And that's how me and my sisters went with it for a good part of our lives. Well, I can't speak on their behalf, but to me, I always believed in God. There was never a time where I didn't. And really, when I think about that question, I don't know how people can be an atheist, because to me, I look at it more like, how do you go about life? Like, because I look all around me, and everywhere I look, I see life. I see it in the trees, I see it in the grass, I see it in when the birds are flying by, all the creatures that God has created. And it's hard to really think, like, I just can't, I couldn't picture, there, not being a God, because none of this around me would make sense. It doesn't add up, it didn't, like, the science way of it just happened overnight. I couldn't, I would have so many more questions, better way to put it. I'm like, how? How is all this stuff happening? How are the birds able to take care of themselves during these disasters that happen all over the world? That they manage to, they have that instinct. They know where to go for safety. They manage to get away from it. You ever think of, that's the stuff I think about. But the idea that there's no God, I couldn't accept that. So I always believed in God. There was never a day where I really didn't. And I didn't really start praying to God until like, I want to say like junior high is where it began for me, because I was trying out for football and sports and stuff. And I'll be honest, that's where it all started. Because I was like, man, I'd like every practice, every game, I would pray the same prayer where I'd say, Lord, let me be the best there is out here. Let me be the best player. Let me go out and perform at the best and play my best. And that's pretty much what happened. 7th, 8th grade, freshman year, it did very, very well. You know, as a player, I mean, I didn't think I did anything special. I just went out there and played and did my best and played the game that I loved. But I would always get people, classmates and stuff, always saying, "Oh, you're pretty good. You're pretty good." I think it was because I was a short guy, and I was playing at a high level, playing with all my heart. And I just using the gift that God blessed me with. But that's how my spiritual journey began, was through football, because I prayed. That's when that's when my prayers started to begin. My relationship with God started having a connection. It wasn't until my sophomore year, once I transferred from public schools to private schools, a Catholic school, is where it all really started taking place for me, because it was, God's all around. And really, that decision was because I felt like I had more of an opportunity to make it to the next level at a private school, to play football. But that was wrong. That was totally wrong. I went there and, it's kind of weird. I went from being where I felt like I was a pretty well-known guy at the public school. But once I went to my sophomore year, to a different school completely, and I never really thought about it until then. It didn't hit me until later on in life, where because I always had that ability just to connect with anybody, and just hang out with anybody. I didn't think it would be a problem going to another school. I thought I would have easily had that connection, but it didn't work out like that. I ended up being what they call the basket case. And it was weird. It's even like when I say it now, it feels weird. But I didn't have nobody. I didn't have no one to turn to. I mean, I kind of blame myself a little bit, because I went in cocky, going step back a little bit, having an incredible freshman year, and just everybody in the high school talking to me like, "You're pretty damn good. You're pretty good. You're doing pretty good in football." And my head got swollen. It got big. Because I was like, "Yeah, I'm a beast, man. I'm a beast." So I had all that support, and all the people getting in my head talking to me, and I didn't really, I didn't hit me until later on that's where it was. We had support. We had a bunch of people building us up and motivating us and making us feel like we were, it wasn't just me on the football team, but everybody else, my teammates, that, we were surrounded by coaches and, people, teachers, and people outside of it, just saying this is the team that's going to be, pretty good. That could probably win the state title. But there was a lot of favoritism. And that was the reason why I kind of made my decision to transfer and go to, a different school, because I felt like I had more of an opportunity to make it to college, to play at the college level, if I had more of a shot at being on the field as a starter. Because at the public school, there was a lot of favoritism. There was a guy who they were already grooming, that was like in 8th grade. They were already training him with the varsity varsity playbook, and it was kind of like a lot of guys quit because of that, because they were like, well, they already got their decision made. They already know who the next starting quarterback for the school is. And there was a lot of favoritism going on, but anyway, so I went to private schools. I'm not going to put it out there, but not the name. Actually, I'll just say it. St. Mary's. I went to Sandusky High. And then I went to St. Mary's Central Catholic. And then when I was there, I went in cocky. Because, like I said, I had a swollen head. I had a lot where I felt like I was the king of the school still. But that quickly vanished when I realized that I didn't know anybody there no more. I didn't have, that inner circle, them friends that, were always there talking to you, building you up. They were gone. It was... And I realized that quickly, I tried to make friends, but everybody already had their own cliques. Everybody was already friends with everybody, and that's how it went. So before you know it, I started going. I didn't really have nobody to turn to. I had like one friend at the time, like one real friend. I mean, I think it was really God's way of waking me up and snapping me into the real world, reality, and not having nobody to really social or talk to it was tough. It was tough. So a lot of times, what I would do is I would, go to the chapel and just sit there in God's presence and just kind of talk. And it was really, that's where it really started taking off for me, because I just started thinking about it more. Like, I never really looked into, I always knew God had a son named Jesus. And then once I really got to start knowing more about it and reading into the Bible and just listening to the stories that are in the Old Testament, New Testament, it touched me. It was like, wow, this is cool, man. I mean, stuff that you wouldn't really think about what happened in the Bible, because everybody makes it out to be like, oh, you gotta follow what the Bible says. And, being a guy that was just praying from time to time he could be better at sports. Woo. Yeah. It proves the facts right there that all males sneeze really loud. But anyway, back to the story. So I began reading more into the Bible and getting into knowing more about the life of Jesus, and it moved me. It was cool. I was learning more about God, and that's where it began. More is I just wanted to become more like Jesus. Kind of took it in, and before you know it, I was getting baptized and saved in Jesus' name. And then from there on, God has really. I mean, I went on retreats. I've gone to the March for Life. I've done so much with the church that it pulled me away from sports. It pulled me into a different direction. And then like after I graduated, I still was unsure what I wanted to do with life. But I had that inner fire inside me now, that I had this will inside me that I felt like anything was possible. I felt like I could do anything. But I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I just really had a strong desire to travel. So that's what I ended up doing. So for the first couple of years out of high school, that's what I did. I would get on the midnight train, the Amtrak, and go places. Me and my buddy Guy Patterson, we would go and travel and go all over the world. Well, I wouldn't say that. All over Ohio. The furthest we made was Florida. But the first trip was pretty incredible. We were talking about it all day, and we were talking about just taking a trip somewhere. We're just gonna get on a train and just go wherever it takes us. We had $180 in our pocket, and that was it. So when we got there, we waited. It was pretty cold. It was a little chilly that night. But you imagine like the adrenaline in both of us? I don't know. I can't really speak on his behalf, but to me, I was like, wow. When I seen the train pulling up, it was really hit me for the first time. I was like, wow, we're actually gonna do this. We're actually getting we're about to board and get out of here. And then once the train got there, the conductor put us in our seats, but came back to us because we didn't have tickets or nothing. So they took us to the dining car, and they were like, "All right, boys, where you guys heading?" And I'm like, "We're gonna go wherever this train takes us." Being, because we're just following what we just said we're gonna do. And then the conductor said, this train is going all the way to Indianapolis. And they were like, okay, all right. And then that's when he hit us. That's when reality came in and said, whoa, 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 whoa. He said, it's going to be $180 one way. And that's for one person. And like I said, the both of us together, that's what we had total. So we're like, well, we can't do that. And that's when I really kind of snapped back into reality. I was like, all right, we'll just jump off at the next station. And we ended up in Elyria, Ohio. That was our next stop. Never been until that day. And we got off the train in Elyria, Ohio. We ended up getting a round trip so we could go back to Sandusky. We got there to Elyria, and it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock, somewhere around that time in the morning. And we went to the station because we were just what we were gonna do is just chill and wait till the next train came through and then jump on it and then head back home. So we go into this train station, and it's real sketchy. We open the door. It looks like to describe it, it looks like a shed. It's like the size of the station was like a shed, like a medium-sized shed. We go inside, and there's holes in the wall. The door could barely even open. I don't know what was going on there. And there was like this small bench in there where you could sit and wait until the train came. And they're like, oh, we looked at each other like, oh, what are we getting into here, man? Because, like I said, it was the first time being to Elyria. Never been, so we didn't know what side of town we were on. But, walking into the station, we're thinking like, oh, dude, this don't look too good. This looks kind of sketchy. There's holes in the wall, it look like bolt holes. Yeah, you imagine. So what we ended up doing, since we had time to kill, because the next train wasn't coming till about 2:30, and it was like 12:30 or 1 o'clock at the time. So we seen that there was a bar next door or something. We heard live music playing, so we decided to make our way over there. We did. We got over there to find out we were not old enough to go inside. We were not old enough to go inside. So we made our way back to the station. We sat in there. I started dozing off because, it's past midnight, getting tired, ready to just hit the hay. He's playing on his phone. Before you know it, the walls are really thin, so you can hear anything coming near or in the distance. You could hear anything. But before you know it, I started hearing somebody walking towards the station, towards the door. All of a sudden, bam! The door gets kicked open, and I hear guys say next to me, "Oh shit! Oh shit!" Sorry about my language if anybody is offended, but that's what he says, and it turns out I opened my eyes real quick, ready to I don't know what's about to go down. But it ended up being the band next door that was performing. They were coming to get on the train to head to their next gig, to the next place. And it was cool because we got to end up knowing them. It was nice knowing them, but hey, when I'm thinking about it now, even in that time, my faith in God, man, I just have so much trust in Him. Because even in those situations, anything could happen. It could have gone in a totally different direction. Who knows what could happen? But I had enough faith in God that I knew that we were going to be okay. I knew that we were going to make it home safely all the time. There was one time that was, I think, me and his last trip together, because it went, really bad, is we ended up going to Florida. We started off in Chicago, came back through town, went back through Ohio, and even asked each other, like, you sure you want to do this? And we're like, hell yeah, let's go to Florida. That's what everybody wants to do. And it was spring break too. That was a big part of it. We wanted to experience it. So we ended up going through Ohio, going through Pennsylvania. We stopped in Maryland and Washington, D.C., the capital. Saw the White House and all that good stuff. And then got back on the train and made our way all the way to Florida. We stopped in Orlando. And that's when reality hit us hard, because it was there, and then we realized we had messed up. We didn't have any money. So what we did throughout the good part of that day was we applied to every job that we could at the time. That we walked in, we filled out the application, just hoping that we, out of sheer luck, that we would get somebody that would be like, hey, you guys are hired, let's get you start working, give you a place to lay for the night, But that didn't happen. It wasn't like the movies. It wasn't like the movies. Instead, we were in for a memorable night. Because, like I said, we didn't have nowhere to sleep, nowhere to lay our heads. So we started to walk around town, walk around Orlando, thinking it's like Disney World or something. No, we're in downtown Orlando, so I don't know if anybody's familiar with the area, but to us, it was quite the experience. We ended up taking a wrong turn, walking down to the wrong neighborhood, and just imagine this, where every porch, every single porch, there's people on it, and they're yelling, they're saying stuff to you. Yelling stuff at you, and you're just freaking out, man, because you really don't know what's going to go down. But out of nowhere, this lady came to the rescue, and she said, just follow me, it's going to be okay, don't look at them, just follow me. So we did. Just completely trusting her. Now I think about it, we put our full trust in this person. She led us all the way to the bus stop where we needed to go, or somewhere. And before I could even thank her, I looked back and she was gone. To this day, I believe, without a doubt, that was a guardian angel sent from God. I've had more than enough stories and experiences that if there wasn't a God, none of them would make sense. And I really think I wouldn't be here right now if that was the case. Really, I'll be honest with you. I just don't think I would be here. But that's just one of the stories that has taken place in my life. That has really boosted my faith. Getting to know other people's stories, going to different churches. Just sharing my faith has helped it grow. Reading a lot of the book of positive thinking that's full of scriptures of just positive stuff and just how to live life. Just reading the Bible cover to cover, and I just don't know where I would be in life without God. If I didn't have a good relationship, or had a relationship at all, I don't know how I wouldn't be here. I'm 28 years old, almost 29, blessed, man, beyond words. Married to the woman of my dreams. I'm starting to live my dream now with this podcast. I love doing it. I love hearing everybody's stories. I've had 15 people on so far, and every story, man, has been truly, truly amazing, wonderful, heartfelt. I mean, it just can't be explained. Anybody that's watching this right now, if you made it this far, I want to hear your story next. I want to hear you on here. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. I love this podcast, man. It's cool. I get to meet people, interesting people like you watching this or listening to this. And just hearing your story and just hearing the stuff that you've done in your life. Like I said before, man, there's so many people in this world that have a story, but yet they feel like they don't. But this is me telling you, you do. And I want to hear it, man. I want to hear your story. I want to hear where it started. You know, where you grew up at. Where, you know, what hospital you were born at, what time. You know, what school you went to, what was your high school experience. What was college like if you did go. Your careers. I want to learn everything about you. I want to get to know you. I feel like that's starting to get pushed away in this world, that a world is getting so divided by everything that's happening around us. And I really want to use this platform to get you out there, to get your voice heard, to get your story told, your testimony. I want your talent to be revealed to people. If you have musical instruments, or you want to sing, you want to play on this podcast, you got to book the show. You want to advertise, you want to get it out there to the world so they can read your material or hear your material. This is the platform. This is where I want you to be at, to tell it. Because I don't think you're going to find that anywhere else. And a lot of people think they're going to get reworded, or I'm just some phony. No, this is the truth, man. This is the platform that you want to be on. This is where it's going to happen at for you. And I'm going to do my part. Even after you're on the show, I'm going to do my part to get you noticed. I want you to get, heard. I want the right people to connect to you. To get you out there, get your story heard, get your talent shown, get your testimony heard, save somebody's life. But, I mean, that's all I got for now. And I thank you for putting up with me for going on over 40 minutes. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I hope this has inspired you enough to come on to this show. And now to subscribe to it, to listen to it, to hear the incredible stories that are on here. Thank you for your time. And thank you for the person that told me to do this. It felt pretty good. But that's it. I'm wrapping this up. I'll see you again soon. I'm sorry. I know you want me to probably stay on more. But I'll see you again soon. Tune in to my next episode and listen to the incredible story of the next person, or hear their talent, hear their testimony, listen to the gift that God has blessed us with. I thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. God bless.